Good evening, lovely tubers. White Mexican back again for a Kashtira deck profile / deck update. This video is going to encase two local tournaments that I attended. One was on Sunday, one was today, Monday night. The change was significantly different. I feel that the build that I have currently is superior than what I was running on Sunday. So I'm going to showcase the latest update here in this video, and this is the current build that I'm most confident with, and I'll be breaking down all aspects of the build for you guys tonight. Really quick, I'm gonna turbo through the updated list, and then I'm going to review the matchups from the Sunday tournament, placing rankings, prize supports, and then for the same for Monday for the tournament that I participated in tonight as well. So getting started with the main deck list, it's going to be 1 Ogre, 1 Scareclaw, 3 Rise Heart, 3 Unicorn, 3 Fenrir, 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Shifter, and 3 Droll and Lockbird. So Droll and Lockbird is a new addition. I currently was not playing this card because I run a lot of graveyard manipulation cards, but this card is like Shifter, just such an impactful hand trap for most matchups in this format. It's pretty much just too good not to run, and I think personally now, reflecting on the card, that it is worth running the risk of conflicting with Dimensional Fisher and Dimensional Shifter. And I'll get into that in a bit. Moving into the main deck Magic cards, we have 1 Called By, 1 Terraforming, 3 Dimensional Fisher. If you guys aren't familiar with my Kashtira deck profiles, this has been something that I've been running for the playset in the main for quite some time. I think a lot of Kashtira players are really sleeping on this card. This card is super, super great. If, beginning your turn, if you proc this, you can just play it before any of the searching, any combo starters. It's really, really good. This stops Droll and Lockbird. It stops Effect Veiler. It stops Crow. It stops Ghost Ogre if people are playing that. There's a lot of really great cards that this stops, and besides the sheer fact that we are in a high graveyard format, there's a lot of Fire Kings, there's a lot of Snake Eyes, there's a lot of Snake Eyes, Fire Kings, hybrids, Horus stuff. This is just like one of the MVPs of the deck. It's super, super good. It's a Magic card, so you can slap it, right away. You don't have to wait for it. It's not a trap like Cosmos. Really, really strong. Does a lot of work against Branded Despia as well, which is a runner-up for this format. 3 Prosperity, 3 Planet, 3 Theosis, and 3 Birth. Now, this variant is a lot more trap heavy. Before, I wasn't playing any of the Kashtira traps or any trap cards at all. As you guys can see, I was running 3 Raigeki, then switched the 3 Raigeki to 3 Dark Hole, and with this current build, I just completely cut out all that, all the same. I'm still not running Imperm. Imperm is super, super good. It's very impactful, but I just don't think it does enough, personally, in my opinion. I did opt to play in the main, and this is a very high-risk, high-reward build, because one thing that I wouldn't necessarily recommend is maining Cosmos, but personally, with everything that's going on in this format, it's worth the risk, in my opinion. And it can be a little cloggy at times when you get like maximum removal cards and no engine. It happened to me today. It happened to me on Sunday. It happens. But when it doesn't happen that way, if you get a good variety, you have maximum control and maximum manipulation on your opponent's board, which is really, really strong in this format. So the last card is going to be 2 Cosmos in the main and 1 Preparations. Again, Preparations, for those random, well, not really random, but every once in a while you'll run into a Labyrinth player, so this is super strong. Obviously, ideally you want to open up with Ogre first, because if you can get Ogre on your board, you can search the Preparations, so that's just another +1 to add to your arsenal. Cosmos, of course, is the downside to Cosmos, of course, is it is a trap card, so you have to set it first. This is more of a going first card, but having this 5 package plus shifter can be a little bit of, you know, overboard, because you can brick on this if you just draw like multiple of your removal graveyard manipulation cards and don't draw the Cash Turn engine. It can be very, very difficult for you to actually maximize your benefit from these, locking out your opponent. But in this format, it's very, very strong. Again, it's very high risk, very high reward, and it's been working out for me personally. Not to maximum effect. Of course, you have to take into account, you know, if you lose the dice roll, if you, you know, if you don't draw premium, it's always kind of, you know, it can be a struggle sometimes, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I can humbly say that I think the ratios, it's risky, but it's really, really good for the most part. And the results and the numbers will kind of back that up, and we'll get that into that here shortly. So, what else was I going to say about this? So again, obviously, the Droll and Lockbirds conflict with all of these cards, but if you don't open up removal turn 1, you're going to want this buffer zone to really slow down your opponent. So that's one risk. So yeah, that's the updated deck build of the main deck. The side changed quite a bit too in order to fit the more graveyard manipulation in the main deck. For the side, we have one Rivalry of the Warlords. We still have our playset of Mind Over Matter. If you guys don't know what this card does, I feel like a lot of Cash players don't really pay attention to this card, don't even know what it does, because it's just insanely ancient. This is a rare from the Dueling Genesis. It's basically Solemn Judgment, but instead of paying your half for life points, you just tribute a psychic monster. Really, really cool. I don't know of any other Cash player that I know personally that's running this card. I think it's extremely underrated. Again, I know a lot of Cash players like to run the Judgment, which, you know, technically you just pay and you don't have to tribute a body. I think this is personally better because, especially if you're like me, you really have long matchups and you always pretty much almost go to time for all your matches. You really want to have this to save life points going into time, into that potential game 3. I did move the Cyclones. This is still an amazing card, a very, very key card to have this format. It's really good against the Fire King Island. When you have removal, completely wipes their board and just, you know, removes everything from play. Really good for Horus against their Sarcophagus card. There's a lot of cards. Runic primarily. This is like best against Runic. You want to hit the fountain. Really, really good. I was maining this, but again, a big shift was to make room for the more manipulation in the main deck. I ended up siding these, and, you know, I still have access to them. You know, if game 1 doesn't work out too well, or if I have a really hard matchup, I need a lot of disruption for the back row, this can come into play. So I think it's better suited in the side for now. 2 Vanities, Fiend. This card, I don't draw into this too often. I've considered trying to run 3. I personally think, White Mexican Theory, this is an exclusive going first card. I would not recommend putting this in going second. There's very, very few to little to no times that I would play this going second. This is a more so like just, it's so premium going first. Because if your opponent doesn't have imperm or instant spot removal, like, they're just dead. You go full combo, get all your bodies on board. Your last summon will be this. They can't nib you. You can't really extend because you can't special summon. Neither player can special summon. But if you have 2, 3, 4 bodies of Kashtira monsters plus this, they don't open imperm. They don't open some kind of blowout or spot removal. Like, you're pretty much, it's GG's. They're going to pass. You're going to kill them right there on your next turn. It's going to be very, very glorious. So really, really great, really strong. Again, I think 2 is kind of the best ratios that I've been personally messing with. I think 3 is too much. 1 isn't enough. I think 2 is ideal. And then, of course, the Kings of going second. Amazing, amazing playset of Evenly Matched and a playset of Lava Golem. So, of course, these 6 are going to be your saving grace for the games that you have to go second. This is going to be going first. These could be either or. It just depends on your matchup. If you need that instant spot removal, you can put those in. And then, of course, with this being a floodgate, if you guys aren't familiar, I've said it many times before. You guys are probably sick of me saying it. All Kashtira monsters are psychic besides Riseheart. Riseheart is the only one that's not psychic, being a warrior. Everything else is psychic. Even Shangira. Shangira is also a psychic, so if you're in a really bad pinch, you can even proc off the Shangira to do an Omni Negate and pretty much stop your opponent in their tracks with this card. This is why this card is so key, but even more so this. Be very careful because, you know, if you do side in your Vanities, you know, keep in mind that Vanities is a fiend. So it conflicts with your psychics, and you don't want to send your Vanities Fiend. Your Vanities Fiend is just way too much profit on your opponent. So really good. I was originally I was running Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors to shut down Labyrinth, to shut down Brand and Despia. Those are still in the format. Just, again, I curtail my decks to the local echelon competitive level, and there just isn't too many. We have maybe 1-2 Branded Despia players, 1-2 Labyrinth players. So I cut my Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors to go for a more generic, widespread Floodgate, that being Skill Drain, and these Skill Drains was actually what I was siding in place of the Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors on Sunday. Unfortunately, the Skill Drains actually ended up backfiring for my final round in top 8 against a Tier Element player, and essentially it limited me, I think, more than him to a certain extent. So I came home after Sunday, I really reconsidered, ended up cutting the Skill Drains, reevaluating the main board, putting more graveyard manipulation in the main deck, and then just shifting the side deck appropriately. So that is the side deck. The extra deck did not change, I don't believe, since my last update. So it's going to be 1 Baron, 1 Little Knight, 1 BLS Link. If anything, this is dangerously close to being on the chopping block. I've been playing this for at least a month now, and I've yet to summon it once. The only thing that this has done has been prosperity fodder, which is fine. It's nice, it's comforting to have this as a spot removal option and a big body in the extra deck, but I'm really thinking that it's almost about time that I need to think of some healthier alternatives to BLS. Sky Crisis, 2 Big Eye, 3 Red Eyes Flare, Metal Dragon. I think this is very good at 3. Usually 1 or 2 of them is going to become prosperity fodder anyway, because, again, we're running prosperity at 3. Cash, you know, if you get your combo and you don't really have too many heavy disruptions, you can put a lot of bad bodies on board very quickly, a lot of damage. You know, you summon 2, 3, 4 bodies, you hit for almost 8k, you go to main phase 2, you risk it against the nib. If you're brave, you drop this, and they pretty much can't play. That's why I think 3 is so critical. If you're very confident that your opponent doesn't have the nib and, you know, you hit them for some damage, you just go ahead and drop 2 of these. It's very difficult. And Kashtira is one of the few decks that can actually run this specific card, and it's just such an amazing burn card. It's just really good. Shangira, I feel like a lot of Cash players would really like argue to the death with this, with me about this. A lot of them like to run 1, maybe even 2. Most players are just running 1. The threat is just too much. When you have this on board, I mean, you know, it's pretty much cannon fodder for Ash or Imperm. Everyone has them, but you know, it forces them to use their hand traps on those, and if they don't, just like Unicorn, just like Fenrir, they have to get these 3 cards off of the board. If they don't get these 3 cards, either Unicorn, Fenrir, or Shangira, you as a Cash player are just going to be surplusing way too much. The advantage shift changes so quickly with just these 3 cards, and it puts so much pressure on your opponent to sweep these off the board as soon as possible. I think that Shang is way too good to cut. I can kind of understand the 2, but definitely not 1. 1 is just way too not enough. I'm a huge Advocate, and you know, of course, you have the Planet Pop. the planet destruction target on your opponent's turn. You know, if you are a fan of skill drain and you are using skill drain, you can still activate the attempt to activate the effective special. You won't special summon, but you could still proc planet to do spot removal, which is really, really nice mechanics as well. And it's really good. It's really good. Sometimes this gets talents, but you know, it's fine. And the last 3 cards is Dark Armed, the Dragon of Annihilation. This is another card that people only run out as a one of. Pretty much everyone just runs one because it's so good not to have it. The downside to this card is it does target, you know, which is a very, very weak limitation to it. It's not once per turn, and it's really easy to proc 2 or 3 of these in one turn and just completely clear board. It's hard to go for game because these can't attack the turn you do that. I mean, you could technically, you go battle phase, you could attack, and then you could do your spot removal. You could do it that way, you know, cheat the system that way. But at that point, that's really not the point of this card. This is basically like a Minesweeper. This is to summon this, to do spot removal, and then go into your other plays with your Kashtira engine. So really, really good. And again, you know, running 3 of them, one of them comes Prosperity Fodder. It's really, really fine. That's why a lot of these critical ones, Red Eyes, Shang, and Dark Arm, are ran as 3. So that is the extra deck. Now I will get into the matchup. So again, this is covering a spanning of 2 local tournaments. The first was Sunday. I'll get into some statistics from the Sunday tournament. So that was 28 players. It was 5 rounds, and then top 8, then top 4, and then top 2, and then the championship. So 28 players. Round 1, I played against Flundery. It was 3 games. I won that match. Round 2 was against a Snake Eye Fire Kings hybrid. That was a pretty tough matchup. We went to 3 games, but I ended up winning that match, primarily because of the graveyard manipulation. I was able to get into my graveyard manipulation cards, which helped a lot. Round 3 was against Branded Despia. That was also 3 games. I won that match. Game 1, I got a Colossal Brick. Did not open premium whatsoever. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm trying to read my notes. Game 2, I had Dimensional Fisher, and I dropped the Vanities, which is just completely blowout against Branded Despia. No graveyard, no special summon. They pretty much just scooped. And then Game 3, the Branded Despia player pretty much bricked. He definitely did not open premium. I opened Shifter, I believe, for my turn. Or I think I opened Shifter on their turn, and so I opened Shifter, they bricked, they were under Shifter, and they bricked, and then basically they passed over to me, and I just had full engine, full combo, and I just went into 4 bodies, and I just hit them for game. So that was a nice victory in Game 3 for Round 3 against Branded Despia. Round 4 was against a Snake Eye Volcanic player. That was 3 games. I don't remember who won Dice Roll, but I opened Shifter and pretty much instantaneously got Game 1. I did get hit with the OTK. It wasn't technically a 1-turn kill, but he hit me for a lot of damage with the combo with Volcanic Burn. He went first, he hit me for significant damage, then he set the trap, and essentially, as soon as I was about to draw, I just asked him, like, hey, are you going to get me with this trap, because there's a trap that burns? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to get you with this trap on your draw phase. So I just scooped on that one, and then we went to Game 3. Game 3, I opened Shifter, and it was pretty much, that was like his death sentence. I opened Shifter Game 3, and I was just able to net way too much advantage, and I took that round. And then Round 5, I played against a very, very talented, a very, skilled Snake Eye Fire King player, and that was like the ultimate loss. That was just instantly 2 games lost. Let's see here. So our first game was really long. I did end up winning Dice Roll, and I did have Fisher Game 1. They were running 2 princesses, and I misplayed because I had Graveyard Manipulation. And what I should have done was I ripped one of the princesses. He had 2 princesses. I ripped one of them as my first rip with Unicorn instead of hitting his SP. And I knew his SP was going to be the spot removal he needed to get rid of the Fisher on board. So what I should have done, since he already had 2 princesses, was just ignore the princesses, went straight for the spot removal, and remove from play the SP. But he also had a unicorn, the Nightmare Unicorn, whatever, spot removal. So I was thinking, well, it doesn't really matter. He's either going to go SP and he's going to get rid of the Fisher, or he's either going to go Nightmare Unicorn and he's going to get rid of the Fisher. So I'm just going to, hit him where it hurts. I'm just going to hit the princess. So it turns out that was not the right choice, because he did have a second princess, and it was a really long grind, and then kind of a last-ditch effort. I normally don't do this. I little to almost never summon more than 4 times, because I'm dreadfully fearful of Nibiru. It's everywhere. It's like a plaguing virus in this format. Pretty much everyone is running it. It's super, super bad. I gambled against, I went for that 5th summon, and he actually had 3 nibs in his hand that he was just holding, and I gambled and lost, and then I just scooped after that. I was just really disappointed that I got nibbed. It's the first time that I've gotten nibbed in quite some time, so that was, and I think he only had 3 cards in his hand. Anyway, scooped after the nib. That was game 1. Went to game 2, and then game 2 essentially I just bricked. It did not open premium, no graveyard manipulation cards, and I just very quickly got overwhelmed, because Snake Eyes, just the recursion resource adaptation is just ridiculous. So the first 5 rounds, I was X1. I only lost the 5th round to Snake Eyes, Fire King Snake Eyes hybrid. Went to top 8, played the same tier player that I played last Sunday, tier element player. We did go to 3 games, but let's see. So game 1, I opened. I think I won dice roll, and I opened shifter. So pretty much he couldn't do anything. I set up, open shifter, played whatever I needed to play, passed to him. He pretty much had to pass because he was under shifter, and then I just killed him the next turn. Went to game 2. Game 2, I don't remember. I think I just opened pretty bad. I don't remember what happened. Obviously, I was going second. Didn't really get my going second cards. Lost game 2. Went to game 3. And this was the most infamous misplay I think I've ever made in like the history of all of my Yu-Gi-Oh-ness ever. It was so bad. I had skill drains, because again, I had skill drain sided during the Sunday tournament. I had skill drain up. We were both clogged up. We really couldn't do anything. He had 1 monster up. I had both floodgates up, and I was, choking him out to just 1 monster. And I was just drawing total garbage. Like, I prosperity twice in that game for 6, and I just kept on getting multiples of the same cards that I just couldn't use, and it was just like really, really bad. Really bad opening hand, terrible 2 prosperities, just really, really awful. And basically, he was beating me down. I think it was with like Rhino Heart or something, and he just was beating me down with this 1 card. And I had advantage. The advantage switched eventually, where I think I got a unicorn, so he couldn't get over the unicorn. And that was kind of what was just keeping me alive, and it was just like a 1-to-1 ratio. And one of my last turns, I drew into a called by. And at this point, before I got the unicorn, he was hitting me, and I was really down. We had, I think, like maybe 3 minutes or 2 minutes left in game 3 in the match. I was down terribly. I think I was down to like 2,000 life points, or like less than 2,000 life points. He was still at his full 8K. So I kind of had like a sense of defeatism. I'm like, all right, we're about to go to time. I'm down like almost like 6,000 life points. I was almost kind of just like feeling like I was just like insta-loss kind of mentality. I drew into the called by, and I was rushing. I knew I was down in life, and we were going to time. This was my top deck, and I just passed him without setting this. And that was the death sentence. If I was not, if I had, the mental fortitude to just calm down and actually think about what I was doing, all I needed to do was place the call by. I drew the call by, just place it. That's it, passed over to him, because the very next turn that I rushed and I misplayed and I didn't set this, for God knows why. Again, I was just rushing, and I just allowed myself to just break mentally. If I would have set the call by, the next turn he had a line to get into a fusion summon. And I could have chained this, removed his tier body and stopped him from getting the bigger body out because, again, we had these on the field. Also, he had Planet as well. So he not only got a bigger board with bringing out a big fusion, he also got a Planet pop. So he basically blew up my Unicorn, got the bigger body, and it could have all been stopped. It could have all been stopped if I wasn't rushing, if I just had, the mental fortitude to just calm down and play it right and just set the call by. That's all I needed to do. So it was the most colossal misplay. It was a lot of work. It was very, very challenging to go X1 out of those 5 initial rounds and then make top 8, but then to instantly just be cut out of top cut, the first round of top 8 over, losing to myself. No disrespect to the tier element player. He's a very smart player. Tier element is a very variable deck. I was just very, frustrated with myself that I just allowed myself to just not play cards in a card game. So that was really crazy. And that was it. That was game over. That knocked me out of top cut. So after all that, I ended up just getting a $5 voucher, and then of course, everyone gets OTS for the $5 entry fee. I had credit, so technically mine was free. It was left over from the top 4 that I got. I got top 4 last Sunday from this tournament, and then I got top 8 this Sunday. Sunday tournaments here in Syracuse, New York, locally, is arguably the most competitive that we have. A lot of really good, really, really talented, smart players go to, and we have a pretty big turnout. Again, 28 players. That's pretty big here, at least for the local scene for Syracuse. So it was really, really tough, but definitely a hard lesson to learn, but something that will not be forgotten anytime soon. So this was for Sunday. So we'll go ahead and we'll crack this because this was associated with the Sunday tournament, and then I'll review. This is actually really cool. I really like this a lot. This is our first holo variant of King Tiger Wangu. This is actually a Gen 1 card. I can't remember. I think maybe was it Legacy of Darkness? No, it was Pharaonic Guardian. This originally came as a rare from Pharaonic Guardian and Gen 1 Yu-Gi-Oh! So really, really cool. Didn't really come out that good. You can kind of barely see the holo foil. Usually I really like supers, OTS supers, but this one almost like you kind of have to really rotate to really see the foil. It's kind of unfortunate, but it is cool to have a super finally. So that is going to be for the Sunday tournament. And today was a lot more humble tournament. It always is. It's always a smaller turnout on the Monday tournaments. So today for the Monday tournament, we had a grand total of a whopping 10 players. It was 4 rounds. My first round was against Voiceless Voice. That was a straight up win. I just, happened to draw premium and get the graveyard manipulation. So I won both rounds against Voiceless Voice. I hit him with a droll too. Game two, I hit him with a droll, and unfortunately, he just had all search cards, so he passed over to me. I opened Dimensional Fisher, and then I went full combo, got all my bodies, and I just hit him for over 8K. So that was an insta win, which was really fortunate for me. Round 2 was against Snake Eye Fire Kings, and that, once again, that's just kind of the way of the beast. If you don't open Graveyard Manipulation, if you don't open Premium against Snake Eye Fire Kings, you're just going to lose. It's a very, very powerhouse deck. A lot of net advantage very quickly, and it'll overwhelm you very quickly if you don't get your Graveyard Manipulation. That's exactly what happened. Didn't get the Graveyard Manipulation, and I just got rolled. So instant 2-game loss. Lost round 2. Round 3 was against Branded Despia. That went to 3 games. We almost went to time. My opponent did end up scooping game 3 towards the end. I think we had about 3-4 minutes left. I could tell they got a little flustered in that one. I got a little thrown off because I was in the advantage for quite some time in game 3. I was already up like 2K plus in life, and I had board presence advantage. But, Branded Despia, they have these little, intertwined plays where they can, fusion someone at pretty much any time on any turn. And, it was the Queritus. He had the Queritus one, and I had all these bodies, but Queritus cuts in half, and he ended up, tributing it and then summoning it twice, and it just really threw me off. So I felt kind of bad because I was trying to kind of like hurry. We were running out of time. He was down in life, but anyway, I just kind of got, you know, tossed by that. Anyway, at won game 3, so round 3 against Brandon Despia, and then round 4, the final round for this tournament tonight, was against the Lab Player, and I just drew very, very premium. I believe that I lost the dice roll, but I was able to draw very premium, a lot of diversity in the hands, and I, you know, played it smart, and unfortunately they just couldn't really keep up, to, you know, respectfully. So that was a just 2-game instant win. Took that one. So went X1 out of the 4 rounds. Only lost once, 1 round to the Snake Eye Fire Kings. And I don't remember if they said either 4 or 3 players were all X1 by the end of the tournament. But unfortunately, even though I had the same score as first and second place, they just had better tiebreakers. So I ended up finishing 3rd place tonight, which rocked me $7 credit. I had other credit from last Monday for topping in the same place, so I ended up just taking what I had and then procking for 3 Phantom Nightmare. So tonight I got 3 Phantom Nightmare, and then of course, you know, entry fee, everyone gets one of these, and then for getting 3rd I got 2 additional 24s. So for 3rd place I got 3 and 3, and we're gonna go ahead and crack these open for you guys. Chandelier. Okay, Saphira comes as a common. That's pretty cool. It came as a common now. All right, so we got some Labyrinth stuff here. I feel like they've been kind of going like pretty overboard. I feel like Labyrinth has gotten quite a bit of OTS Hollow upgrades here. We got a DD High King Caesar. And we got a Manadium Reframing. Interesting. All right, moving on to the Phantom packs. We did get a secret rare, Mutamorphosis. So I feel like I'm infamous for pulling secret rares from this set, but they're, you know, not always the most sought after ones. This is a very interesting secret rare though. This is definitely one of those secret rares that it just doesn't have a place in the meta right now. I think it has a lot of potential for being good later on. These are very, very affordable right now. So if you guys don't have your playset, I would cop a playset just because, again, they're just, you know, it's very much at the right price. It is a pretty cool card. Again, it's just right now, it's just, the meta's at a weird place. It doesn't really fit in with the meta right now. But I do think that this is a very underrated secret. Moving on to pack 2 here. We have a White Sardine, some fishy stuff. And for the final pack here, we have, yeah, this thing. This actually looks pretty cool. The artwork looks pretty cool. Rosellen. Anyway, okay, so some other Tuner Super, pretty cool. So we did get a secret rare out of 3 packs. You know, not bad. Again, not the best secret rare, but this looks really, really cool. Absolutely love the artwork. And again, I would hold on to these. These are definitely going to potentially see some future play. And the last thing for you, I did have 2 pieces of mail come in today, so I like to showcase these because, you know, maybe not, I inspire you guys some of your own investments, just to kind of, you know, show you guys what I'm investing in. This is more than likely probably stuff for my Horus engine. I'm waiting my Horus engine stuff, so yes. So this is my Epsetes. I think this is the one that has the 2 of. This is the most, currently the most expensive part of the engine. I actually pulled 1, and I bought these with store credit. Again, one of the best things I ever decided to do is to switch. You know, I saw a lot, quote unquote a lot, on TCG Player, just switch it to automatic, store credit, and then you never have to pay out of pocket for, stuff like this that you need for your online orders. So, well on my way to completing the Horus core, which I'm very, very excited. That's going to bring on a whole new slew of deck profiles. If you guys don't know, I'm an Advent Dark World fan, hence the Graphomat here, and I really want to figure out a way to kind of lab and mess around with Dark World Horus. I think that's going to be kind of my next venture here when I transition out of Kashtira, so more to come on that. And here is more Horus support. As anticipated, we have 3 sarcophagus. So super excited. Slowly but surely here, the next couple days, I'll get the rest of the Horus core in. And I'm not really sure exactly when I'll decide to well, definitely not ready to make showcasings of deck profiles because I haven't decided even, ratios yet. But hopefully that's something that I can bring to the table for you guys here within the relatively near future. That is all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been a showcasing by Autumn's Allure. My name is the White Mexican, and I'll see you in the next video.